Former United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson hasn't even been buried yet. His family is still actively mourning, yet people have already turned his assassin into a hero. In New York City, in Washington Square Park, they held a lookalike contest to see who could look most like the assassin. But here's what disturbed me the most. It was the fact that the winner of the contest was chosen by a crowd. So not only did people choose to participate, but people were cheering on this contest. Take a look.
It's not. You're welcome to join. It's never too late.
Number 2. Woo! Contestant number 3. Woo! Contestant number 4. Woo! Contestant number 5. Contestant number 6. Woo! Contestant number 7. Woo! And contestant number 8.
Yeah. I mean, I am the guy.
So, as you can tell based on the crowd response, contestant number 6 won, and on top of that, he actually won a cash prize. And as if all of this wasn't disturbing enough, what is kind of alarming is that they're planning on turning this into an annual event. Now, we'll see if interest actually holds over into the next year, but this is the winner talking about the competition, his thoughts for next year, as well as his invitation for other people to participate.
So that you won the competition.
Well, I haven't got paid yet, but that's okay. I told them I'd give half to Palestinian Relief if I got anything. Now I'm worried they'll give me $2 and $1 will go to Palestinian Relief. But I feel good. I mean, you know, I'm glad people. I'm glad people do not feel great about the current state of things and are willing to openly express that. So that's good.
Have you ever won anything in your life?
Huh?
Have you ever won a contest?
Oh, geez. No. This is the first time. And as she said, this is the first annual lookalike competition. So next year, hopefully there will be a few more contestants. And we'll see what happens. Maybe they'll-
Look, I understand that many people are frustrated with the healthcare system in the United States, but two wrongs don't make a right. As I've been saying in the last few videos, there is such a thing, I believe, as objective truth. And one of those truths is that murder is wrong, no matter the circumstance, and that all human life matters. And unfortunately, it appears that the Overton window has shifted, and less people than before believe and agree with that. And I think that's really dangerous when we start talking about the societal impact that this has, when we start talking about the social contract, the social fabric that we have with one another. If this Overton window has shifted and we're seeing these cracks as far as what is permissible and acceptable culturally, that can kind of be dangerous. That can be a canary in the coal mine, wink, wink, of things to come, of how far society can truly decline. And to me, that is something to be scared about. And I think the media gets a lot of blame for that. So Taylor Lorenz, who I've talked about on this channel in the last few videos, used to be a reporter, a journalist for the New York Times and Washington Post. Well, she is doubling down on crazy. And this is exactly what I've been saying. I said that if people cheered on the death of this United Healthcare CEO, I said this previously. I said if people cheer that on, when does that stop? Because this turns into a slippery slope. If you're willing to cheer that on, are you going to cheer on the deaths of other CEOs of other health insurance companies? Where does it stop? Because the CEOs don't single-handedly run these healthcare insurance companies. There's also the board. Do you hold the board responsible? Should the board be assassinated? What about the people who actually work the phones? What about the people who make the decisions? One man, Brian Thompson, and all these other CEOs, one person is not responsible for a systemic situation, because that's what it is. This healthcare insurance system is a system-wide problem. It's systemic. Yet Taylor Lorenz is saying that we, who is we, by the way, we want to see them being the CEOs dead. Here is Taylor Lorenz.
I'm speaking to the sentiment. People do want these executives dead. If you have
But you
watched,
said we want them dead, and I guess that's...
I mean, look, I'm going to say I'm with the people in the sense that if you have watched a loved one die because insurance has denied them life-saving essential health care, it is natural to wish that the people who run those systems would suffer the same fate as your loved one. And millions of people across America have had this experience. So yes, am I, when I say, do I wish someone dead, is that advocating for them to be killed? No, of course not. But am I going to shed tears or have a lot of empathy for somebody that has facilitated the deaths of thousands of innocent Americans through intentionally denying them coverage? I am not going to, weep over it. I do think that loss of life is a tragedy. I'm very against death generally, as a principle. But I think, again, why do we mourn certain deaths and condone other deaths of innocent, vulnerable people?
I don't think anyone condones death. Whenever there's a mass shooting, I don't think people are actually celebrating those deaths. I could be wrong, but I think everyone is morally shocked and outraged whenever that happens. Now, just because there are some people who have morals and ethics and firm beliefs, believe that we shouldn't be banning guns and that we shouldn't take away guns from the American people, that doesn't mean that people who are pro-Second Amendment think that it's okay to kill children. I mean, that's a far leap to make, and I'm not saying that that's what Taylor Lorenz is arguing, but she sort of did argue that, if you listen to her words. I don't know specifically what she was talking about when she referred to people condoning death, but when it comes to gun violence, Democrats and the left, they're always the ones saying, oh, let's take away guns. Guns are the problem. It's not the killer. And yet, in this case, a gun was used to literally shoot someone in the back. And yet, the left doesn't care. The guy and the gun are heroes and should be celebrated according to people like Taylor Lorenz. So I think that speaks a lot to their worldview. Now, unfortunately, it's not just the media. This sort of thinking has also bled in to our healthcare system. So a nurse has gone viral on TikTok. As of me making this video right now, it has over 8 million views on TikTok. And then this particular video I'm looking at has 4.9 million views on X. But here's a nurse saying that he's happy and thrilled that Brian Thompson died.
Hey, America, how you doing? I just wanted to weigh in on this CEO from United Healthcare getting shot. A nurse's perspective, bedside nurse for 31 years.
Now, because he's using his position of authority as a nurse to position himself as an arbiter of moral clarity and insight on the topic, I just wanted to point out that nurses don't recite the Hippocratic Oath. That's just doctors. Physicians take an oath to, quote, do no harm. It is a very active oath that they will not hurt anyone else. Nurses, to be fair, they do have their own oath, but from my perspective anyways, it's written a little more passively. It's about abstaining from doing anything deleterious or mischievous. Now, that's not to say that nurses aren't as caring and empathetic as physicians when it comes to caring for their patients, because of course nurses care for their patients. But I wanted to point that out because he is using his authority. He's committing a fallacy here to try to convince people of his point of view. And I think that distinction between the oaths really becomes evident here because he is celebrating and cheering on the murder of another human being as a healthcare provider.
To the CEO who got shot, I hope you rot in hell, you bastard son of a bitch. These presidents of America, like every president that gets elected, stands up on national television and says, oh, I killed Osama something, or Bin Hadi, somebody in the desert. Obama did it, Trump did it, Biden. Everybody kills some unknown dude out in the desert, oh, because he killed this, that. This healthcare CEO is responsible for thousands of deaths of American citizens. I mean, he makes the terrorists look like Boy Scouts.
Really? He is going to compare the CEO to terrorists, to people who actively do harm and kill people? There's a very big difference between actively doing harm, killing people, and then allowing something bad to happen, such as your company, your insurance company, denying coverage, denying claims. I think if we had to boil down this story, I think there are two big umbrellas as to why this story has captured so many people's attention. I think umbrella number one is that there is resentment and anger, and people are upset about the healthcare system and the way that these insurance companies are set up and run. I think that's the first umbrella. I think the second umbrella is This case has raised a lot of moral, ethical, philosophical questions that we don't really talk about on a national level. And on all of those questions, there is a moral distinction between actively killing and then letting die. I think there's also a distinction between collectivism, what we allow to happen as a society, versus individual responsibility. And I certainly don't think that former CEO, Brian Thompson, was singularly responsible for the hurt and pain that those people who were denied coverage feel. That is the way the system is run, unfortunately. And killing people isn't going to change the system. If all CEOs were killed tomorrow of these insurance companies, does anyone really believe that anything would change or change for the better? If anything, I think we would be on the precipice of things getting a lot worse. And I think that when we talk about moral displacement, I think that that's what's happening, is people are displacing and their anger and using the CEO as an avatar, as, hey, this is someone we can pin our angers and frustrations on. And that's why we see all these celebrations on the streets. And there is a difference between what Brian Thompson did and terrorists. It's just a false equivalency that he's making here.
Joke this is. Yeah, I think the shooter is a national hero. And that's one bedside nurse. Like I said, bedside nurse for 31 years. I've seen the changes in healthcare. It's pure garbage. Nobody gives a shit anymore. It's all for the almighty buck. And the rot starts at the top. And United Healthcare, I did home care for a number of years, and I've been in people's houses who can't afford medicines and they get denied. It's an absolute disgrace what goes on in this country. So to the shooter, thank you. You are a national hero. I hope they never catch you. Lay low, brother. Because you killed a rich guy, and they're going to come looking something hard. But to me, you're a national hero. And to the dead CEO, rotten hell, you piece of shit.
This is what happens when you have moral relativity. I do believe personally in objective truth, and part of that objective truth is that murder is wrong in all circumstances. I'll get to that later on in the video. What he's doing, what he's saying may feel good. It may feel great to get this justice. But the problem with moral relativity is that it always boomerangs. It always comes back to hurt you in some way, or hurt culture and society in some way. And so I'm really alarmed at all the celebrations going on. Like I said earlier, and like I've said in previous videos, when does it stop? Because if you can justify this, then you can justify the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And all of a sudden, we descend into mob rule, mob madness, mob mentality, rather than law and order. So for the last story I'm going to talk about in this video, we're going to go all the way back to 2020. This footage was taken from a BLM protest, and who you're going to see on your screen is an attorney by the name of Stephanie Rapkin, and she spits on a BLM protester who happened to be a teenager. Take a look at this. There is no other context, so what you saw there is pretty much all the context you need to know. I didn't deceptively edit that. There's not context you needed to know before or after this incident. But because of what you saw there on video, she spent 60 days in jail. Now, even if you don't think it was right for her to spit on that person, I personally would not have spit. I don't think that warranted 60 days in jail. But on top of that, the police actually raided her home. They kicked down the door. They came in with guns drawn, tasers out, without a warrant. And because of that, she was able to sue the city and the police department. So the New York Post reported this 2 days ago. Attorney who spat at teen BLM protester gets $760,000 for cops bursting into her home without a warrant. And I think that is a happy ending to that story. Again, I think stories like this can be very nuanced, and oftentimes the pendulum overcorrects, right? And I think that in this situation, it did overcorrect. It putting someone in jail for 60 days for spit, when there was clearly tension going on, to me, I think that was overkill. Now, I do want to respond to some comments before we wrap up this video. The law of unintended consequences, this is from Patrick McGuire. If you cap credit card rates at 10%, fewer people would get a credit card, leading to less spending, leading to less tax revenues. I get what you're saying, but does that also not have unintended benefits? Does that not also save people from crippling debt? Does that not save people from taking out debt, taking out money, borrowing money that they can't afford to pay back? I don't know. Next, from MJM Texas Trades, deep down inside, it's not that anybody celebrates the death of another person, but nowadays have changed. It's us against them and them against us. I'm not talking about the insurance company. I'm talking about my way of thinking and your way of thinking, and any way to put a win in my win column. People are gradually becoming insensitive. I do think that that's right to some extent, but I don't agree with it fully. I think it's right that there are some people, especially online, and people say, Daniel, you never criticize the right. Okay, here comes the criticism. I think there are too many conservative commentators and influencers and creators who are out there just to own the libs, and they don't really have anything of substance to say, and they just go with the crowd, and they don't have a position that is staked in a philosophy, or they don't have a belief, or they don't have a doctrine. They just go with the flow, they go with the wind, and they're just trying to own the libs. That is something that I don't do. That is something that I don't agree with. And it happens, by the way, on both sides. It doesn't just happen on the right. So I get what you're saying about people just trying to get a W, people just trying to get a win. On the other hand, I do think that there is real moral depravity in the world. And I think that that's something that we have to fight against. I'm not going to preach to people and say they have to believe what I think, but I am going to speak out if those people are going to speak out, because I've always said that my channel is going to be me saying what I don't think people are saying, but needs to be said. And so for as long as people are celebrating, I'm going to be putting out an alternative point of view. The left divides, for sure. Canary, I did get that. Man, I got so many comments on this. Like, I want to say over 50. Canary, been a pet bird lover for decades. Love your show. Thank you, Lynette. I am clearly a bird expert over here. You know, I grew up in the wilderness, and I can spot a cockatiel from a mile away. I'm just that good with birds. Super good. Meditation Mind. Dear Dan, my daughters and 6 of her friends are traveling tonight to join about 60,000 other Swifties tomorrow at BC Place Stadium. After endorsing Kamala and stealing Kelsey from us at Chiefs fans, my daughters are under the influence of Swiftie Nation. Is there anything this Trumper can do other than gulp down a bottle of Johnny Walker? I think my recommendation here, so when I was a kid, what my parents always told me, because my brother and I, just one brother, we loved watching TV growing up. And I get most kids watch TV, but I mean, we watched a lot of TV. And one thing my parents said over and over and over again, TV is not reality. Don't believe everything you see on TV. And I think now, because things are so fractured, it's streaming, I think the advice I would give, and this is coming, by the way, coming from someone who is not a parent, but my advice would be just to remind your daughter and her friends that entertainers have their specialty. They specialize. They have made a career out of entertaining people. Taylor Swift is good at music, but that doesn't mean that she's good at politics. That doesn't mean that she's good at reading the news, understanding the news. Taylor is going around the country. She's going around the world. She's rehearsing. She's performing. She's doing interviews. She's making music videos. I doubt she really has the time to sit down, read all these stories, digest, and wrestle with these questions and these issues the same way that, I don't know, someone like me or like you has the ability to do. So similar to my parents telling me that you can't trust everything you read on TV, I think that there's something to be said there about an entertainer. And that's not to say that entertainers aren't smart. That's not to say that they don't have brains. Of course they do. And they have a right to their opinion and their speech and their thoughts. But that doesn't make Taylor an expert in politics. And so I think that would be the route I would go down and maybe explore that. Next one. You lost me. I'm not going to read this whole thing. However, you can pause this and read it. This is the challenge of responding to comments at the end of videos, because not everyone watches every video, right? So some people may tune in for one video, not the next, or some people may tune into the next and not the one before. So she said that I lost her with my take on the CEO murder. Now, I don't like repeating myself across multiple videos because I think it does get repetitive for the people who tune in for every video. So I think you missed my context. And as I said in this video, I believe that murder is wrong. I believe it is wrong to cheer on that murder. And I do feel for that man and his family. However, I can understand what my point was. I can understand the frustration that people have. And I don't think it's wrong to feel frustrated or have those conflicted feelings. I do think it's wrong to actively cheer something on. Again, the difference between actively doing something and then passively doing something. Those are very clear lines in the sand, I think. Next comment from Midnight Warrior. You a smart guy, but you still talk like a teenager. Do you have any idea how many times you said you know? I bet 50 times. Go listen to yourself. It's like fingernails on a chalkboard. You know, until reading that comment, I know for a fact I haven't said you know at all this video. It's very funny. Don't forget, I'm a professional actor, entertainer, improv, and musician. And it was just a switch. Cool. You know, off. It's very funny because there are very different strategies that I employ. And some of them not very obvious. Some of them really obvious. Like, come on. Doggy sleeping here, kind of obvious, right? But other strategies have, I don't want to reveal everything. I'll say this, especially coming from, just so y'all have insight into my thought process. I will always say what I believe, that you can trust on. How I deliver it, how I present it, or in other words, the flair and the packaging of the video can change. And so don't be surprised if I referenced a while ago that in the new year, one of the things I'm going to be doing is documentary style videos on the weekends. And I think that that's going to be a new way to attract a different type of audience. So there are different things I do that sometimes, saying cannery the wrong way. Okay. Yeah. Call me out. Other things though, maybe it's for engagement. Maybe it is a vibe I'm going for. If you want to theorize on that down below, if you get it right as to why I sometimes say a lot, feel free to let me know. And if you guessed it right, I will heart your comment. But I thought that was funny. I wonder if anyone caught onto the fact that I haven't said at all this video until reading that comment. So context for this one. In the last video, I showed a clip of a girl state champion winning, and she did a cute little pose at the end. And this comment says, my daughter wrestles. The girls do that all the time. They will get a good pin, look up, and smile when they know they're taking pics. But those girls are the most supportive group you could ever see, constantly checking on the other girl when they break, after they hug. They give each other tips, gas each other up. I love the sportsmanship. And, I asked everyone's thoughts on that in the last video, and I would say it was about 80-20. About 80% were like, yeah, girl. One of you said, I can't remember your username, but it was like a 61-year-old grandma with several granddaughters, and she was like, yeah, that's so badass. And I would say about 20% were, no, that's poor taste, that's classless. So I was surprised because when I saw this on X, when I saw this on Reddit, when I saw it on TikTok, it really was 50-50 down the middle. And so I'm surprised that most of the comments were 80 positive, 20% negative, just something interesting. But as always, all of this is just my analysis, my commentary. This is what's going on in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. So earlier in the video, I showed a clip of the nurse talking about the United Healthcare CEO. What are your thoughts on that? Are you alarmed that someone like him, who works in healthcare is openly celebrating and posting that online? Or are you a free speech absolutist and you don't care what he says and he has the right to say what he says? Or perhaps you agree with him. I obviously, a very nuanced topic, you know, and I would love to hear everyone's thoughts specifically on that nurse posting that video and what he said in the video. So I'm excited to read everyone's comments down below, and I'll respond to a few of them in the next video. If you haven't already, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask for, but it really does help me reach more viewers like you in the algorithm. I am having a contest for people to guess the name of my dog as well as my cat. I will reveal their names if and when the channel is lucky enough to reach 100,000 subscribers. So, the contest, there are going to be giveaways for this contest, but I'm giving away one clue per 1,000 subscribers, so 95,000, 96, 97. Each time I cross that threshold, I'm going to give you another clue. But the first clue is the dog is named after a dragon, and the cat is named after a gambler, who so happens to be my favorite character in a fantasy series. So let me know your guesses. I will give an update probably Tuesday on people who have guessed their names correctly, so you don't keep guessing and wasting your time in case you have gotten it correctly. So if any of this interests you, be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.